good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It has been weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks since we've done this. The way that life tries to get you, it does try to get you. It whoops your ass. Last couple weeks, I've been kind of getting my ass whooped. I've been asking God for some help, and I've just been like, just been coming out, beating my ass, showing me the way. So, last few weeks I haven't been like trading, playing video games, streaming, nothing. So, today we're gonna hop right back into it. I started watching this video of Alex Jones and Andrew Tate talking. I'm about an hour way through it. There's probably like 30 minutes left. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this video out, and then we're just going to watch some other videos, react to them, and just have like a chill morning, chill afternoon. Up until like prayer time, we'll pray, and we'll either continue it or we'll cut the craps. So we'll start it up in just 1 second. In just 1 second. Let's see something. Let's go ahead and share this. Okay. Let's go ahead and hit share. There's like Twitter. Let's see if it signs me in. Am I signed in? I'm gonna assume that's it. I'm gonna assume that's it. Alright, awesome. Just gonna go ahead, kick back, and watch our video here.
Hola, hola.
Hola, hola. Alrighty. Do 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 do. Give him 1 second. We're whipping back around. So I'll make sure my voice is good. Alright, well, I'm just gonna run with it. We'll see what happens. So, let's go on ahead.
God is watching all of these things. And these people who think they can just throw people in jail on some garbage are going to see that there is a karmic retribution in the universe and that the truth is on our side. And I know exactly how Trump feels. Trump is waking up frustrated, angry, but he sees himself serving a purpose higher than these orchestrated, pretend Shakespearean plays, these corrupt systems of man. And he says, you know what? I'm going to walk in there, and the only person I'm interested in pleasing is God. I'm going to walk in there like a man. That's how.
You know what's funny? Trump, I was watching him and Tucker Carlson's interview, and he was talking about how they're actors. He was calling like Osama bin Laden an actor, and he was calling a lot of these other people actors. And I find that very funny because I've been telling people that for years. It's like, who do you think Osama bin Laden was trained by? Who do you think Osama bin Laden is? Like, his family is one of the richest families on the planet. They own one of the biggest oil corporations on the planet. What holds up the U.S. economy? Oil deals, foreign exchange, Saudi Arabian oil deals. Holding together Israel and funding their military and winning wars. This is what holds up the United States economy, is keeping the Middle East down, pulling the resources, destroying South America, taking the resources, destroying Asia, taking the resources, destroying Africa, taking their resources. They just take resources, keep the economies down so they can keep theirs up. So yeah, it's pretty interesting shit.
How it has to be done.
No, that's it. And Trump has told me that. He's told Roger Stone that. He realized this is history. He didn't know how bad America was screwed up. And now it's all about being a man and not bowing to these people. And now that he knows how evil they are, he's even stronger because he knows, no, I'm the good guy. I want prosperity. I want freedom. I'm not, these people are scum. And so I'm going in. It's like a game of chicken, and we're not going to turn off the road. One way or another.
The good guys have always been losing, Alex. Think about it. Any video game, you're the good guy. The boss has more health. Hey, look at World War II. England was surrounded by itself. The good guys have always been losing. The harder they hammer somebody with a genuine warrior spirit when they know they're telling the truth. It's always been this way since the dawn of human time. It's never been the good guys have the bad guys completely outnumbered and it's an easy fight for the good guys. It just doesn't work that way. It seems to be that evil always has the advantage, but somehow good wins in the end. It's always been that way. And when you know you're on the side of truth, you have to understand that's how it's always been. You can't be a king without having people try to take your empire. It's happened to you, it's happened to me, it's happening to Trump. And every single point in human history, if you were a king and you had lands and you had an empire, there were people outside of your empire prodding the defenses and trying to find a way to attack you and chop your head off. If you're going to tell the truth and be a king with an empire, they're going to come for you. You either have to shut up and work in Starbucks to take your injections, or you can wake up and be a man and understand that war is certain, battle is certain, victory is certain if you believe in God, and there's going to be times where it's going to be rough. There's going to be temporary losses in the battle, but we can win the war. And this is how it has to be done.
Pretty much.
Well, absolutely. And we're totally simpatico because we're telling the truth here. Right before you went on that incredible layout there that you just did, that grand slam.
The teardown.
I was about to say, because I've read the writings of George Washington. He has hundreds of letters. They're in the Library of Congress. It's incredible. Talks about the Illuminati and just, it's amazing. And I mean, I read basically all of them that I could read. Some are so blurred you can't read them, but there's been books published with them reposted. And he literally gave the same speech you just said. 6-year war with the greatest empire the world's ever seen. No one had beaten them. They beat Napoleon just a few years later. And George Washington said, they're in the wrong. They're enslaving us. I'm going to persevere. I'm not going to back down. Good is always outnumbered at first. I trust in God. There's a famous paintings that have been done of George Washington praying in the snow, because he would really sometimes pray for like hours. They'd come into his tent to be praying, and he had a vision that they would win. He went 5.5 years, total defeat, but persevered, and then all of a sudden, they won every battle after that. All of a sudden, there was wind in their sails. All of a sudden, everything cleared, and he was one of the richest men in America at that point, self-made, despite the fact the Lords tried to block him and stuff, and he spent his whole fortune on the war. He paid the troops the first few years. They put him as a general because he'd bankroll it, and they literally, a third of the people in the Declaration of Independence got put in prison or killed, their families put on prison ships. They went through hell, but man, the victory was that much sweeter, and it's exactly what you just said. Good is never the big, powerful thing in Satan's world. We're always the upstart. We're always the ragtag band. We're always the rebels, and that's what defines us. But for each one of our men is worth 100 of theirs.
Absolutely, because we have genuine conviction. And that's why it's interesting. We can tie this back to something we said earlier. You just named how George Washington paid the troops, and it's so interesting. This is why they're trying to control all the money. It's kind of funny. I got told by somebody, I won't say who, but they come to me and they said, Andrew, the reason that they are so threatened by you is because you are a genuine attack on the educational system of nations. The reason they talk about you in British schools to not listen to you is because you're teaching young boys to learn things that actually matter, to actually change their lives, and how to make money online, how to become financially successful. I have 16, 17-year-old kids in my programs making more than their teachers, and they're threatened by that because when you have money, you can resist. There's another big thing we don't talk about. In fact, a lot of mainstream conservatives, which...
This is a big thing I had a problem with when I was in school. We get taught kind of to all do and be and think the same way. When I really found out that school was kind of bullshit was I'm very, very, very well versed in math and algebra. And in 11th grade, I believe it was 11th grade, I had gotten A's in every single math class I've taken for years of my life. I took advanced math classes growing up, and I failed Algebra 2. And the reason I failed Algebra 2 is because I refused to show my teacher the work. She would put up equations on the board, and I would do them in my head, and I would give her the answer. And I didn't necessarily like to do and work things out the same way as she taught us, right? She wanted us to show all our work in a single line form and fashion, and that's not how my brain worked. My brain worked much differently. When I saw certain equations and I saw certain things, they just happened in my head naturally. So I wasn't the type of person that was going to sit there for 25 fucking minutes rewriting what my brain can do in 5 seconds. Like, there's no need for me to do that. And my teacher took notice of this to the point where she would be trying to do things on the board, and I would just shout out answers to her. And it was because she would constantly mark me wrong. Like, I would take a test. Let's say it was 100 questions. I'd get all 100 questions right, and she'd give me a 50%. She'd fail me. She'd give me an F. And the reason she'd do that is because I didn't show my work. So I would lose half the credit. So even though I got the answer right, I didn't show my work. So I could be cheating. But the crazy thing was is I literally sat with her. Like, I sat right in front of her desk. So I never understood that either. And that was when I realized, like, okay, they're training me to be a robot. They don't necessarily care if I can do the math and I can do it in a better way or a more frequent way. They don't care if I'm smart. They only care if you do what they tell you to do. So school, I learned, was a very, very listen to my command type of thing, rather than I want to teach you something, I want to educate you, I want to better your life. It was more like, shut the fuck up and listen. And when I caught on to that at an older age, I really stopped caring. I didn't stop caring about the actual school work because I always enjoyed learning about specific subjects. If that's psychology, economics, history, math, science, I enjoy subjects. I enjoy learning things. I'm not an imbecile. But it's the way that they present it to you. It's more of like a shut the fuck up, listen, and take what I'm giving you. You don't have a choice. Just, listen to what we say. And that was really hard. It's counteractive. It's like, it makes you not want to learn. It makes you not want to listen to these people. But it is what it is. And, yeah, there's people who run far from it, and there's people who run far into it. I'm more on the center line, where it's like, education is important. You need knowledge, you need education, you need to learn through things and through people. But saying that university or saying that high school is the only place that you're going to learn those things is really pushing it. So, like, yeah, pick and choose when you need something. You use school as a tool, but don't rely on it to fuel your whole entire life, because it's not going to work that way. And it never will.
I don't even bother mentioning them, attacked me saying I'm materialistic. I said, listen, if you want to fight a war, you need money. You need money to fight a war. I want all of my fans to be as rich and strong as possible, because that makes them good soldiers. It's very hard to resist the vaccine if you need to go to work to pay the rent. You need money to resist these things. And that's another thing that's very important. I don't think it's mentioned often enough. That's why they're trying to control global finance and trying to restrict it so heavily, because they need all of us absolutely.
No, I totally agree. Just interject here. Yeah, the Clinton Foundation, not their global foundation, but their National Library, WorldNet Daily sued them like 10 years ago. Took years to get it. They got millions of documents in FOIA. And the number one things when the Clintons came in, the Carnegie Endowment and the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, the CIA, was we can't let conservatives or nationalists or nuclear families have money because they are intrinsically common sense and conservative, and they'll form their own communities. And they listed a few little film producing companies and a few magazine companies that were conservative and say we've got to shut them down. Little companies, because they knew the acorn would grow into a mighty tree. And exactly right. One good thing the left is really powerful at is flooding money into their causes because they know. Then they guilt us for trying to build up capital to fight them. And exactly, if George Washington, as a teenager, hadn't gone out and risked his life being a surveyor into the western frontier and been in a bunch of battles before he was even commissioned in the militia and then later in the military for the British, he would not have been that rich man, literally self-made. And that's why he was so pissed at the British, because you had to go to a lord to sell a piece of property or to bring in a ship or to bring in products. And he got tired of literally inbred, retarded British lords getting a piece of his money. And so when he had that money, he then bet it all on the craps table for America. And so he wasn't just the general, he was the financier. And that's what it's about. If he wouldn't have had that money that he literally made as a teenager and a young man, risking his life. Because, the French...
I didn't know that about George.
Read a few books. He never
about George Washington.
George Washington was out there with a tomahawk and a gun, killing people every day trying to stop him surveying land. And you can say, oh, he's a conqueror, oh, he's a usurper. Well, he was out there fighting badass Native Americans. I mean, he wasn't playing games. So the point is that this guy was like Conan the Barbarian, but they didn't have movies, the internet back then. We don't know all the stuff he did.
Our society now is very, 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 very soft. You don't have to fend for yourself and fend for your life and fight people who oppose your ideas. But 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, the deeper you go, the younger you become, the more responsibility that comes on you, and the more you have to hunt and self-defend and all of these things. So it's like times have really, really, really changed. And when you look back and you're like, oh my God, these guys are crazy. They're barbarians. They kill each other. They're this, they're that. Yeah, they kill each other based off of a simple disagreement. And it's because that's what a disagreement comes to, is physicality. When physicality comes, people fight to the death. It's either you're right or I'm right. And if you're right, then that's going to take over the societal standard and everyone's going to start believing this. Or if I'm right, it's going to take over the societal standard and everyone's going to start believing this. So it's always going to come down to some type of fight or some type of war or some type of killing. That's just the way the world works. Fucking sucks, but don't be soft about it. Prepare yourself for it.
So we had to go out and literally make this treasure, do this, then lead our country to its birth and victory. That is a top gangster.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another thing. And I say to people when they say, how do we win this war? I say it's a spiritual war. You need to believe in God. You need to be a good person. You need to be physically strong, mentally strong. And you need to work as hard as possible and become financially successful. The left have money because they print money. They print money. So, of course, they have money. And we talk about...
Yep.
I have
print
to
it,
mention
baby.
this here. Some mainstream conservatives, I don't know who a lot of these people are because they're all clowns and they're all opposition anyway, but they were attacking me for being materialistic. You just talked about how George Washington needed money to save America. The reason young boys listen to me is because I have a private jet and a bunch of fancy cars and a big house. The reason I can inspire young men to get up and work hard and be diligent and be hardworking and disciplined is because I have such a fantastic life. If I didn't have these things, they wouldn't be inspired by me. And money is what it takes to win wars. What are we sending to Ukraine? Money! We're sending money. So to sit there and say as conservatives, we shouldn't be materialistic, you're just buying into the garbage that the left want. They don't want any of us to have any kind of finance. Because when you have no finance, it's easy to bankrupt you. Listen, Alex, when I was the most Googled man in the world, do you think I were approached by a bunch of mainstream companies? I'm the most Googled man in the world amongst one of the most profitable demographics on the planet. Young men from 15 to 35. I was offered $30 million, $25 million, $45 million to sell my soul, to shut up about certain subjects and be sponsored by X company. I was offered unlimited money to be quiet, and I said no. Why? Because I already have money. You can't buy a man who already has money. And that's another thing they're very afraid of. They're afraid of people who are self-financed. That's one of the reasons they're afraid of Trump. He doesn't need your stupid donors. He doesn't need your garbage. He has his own money. And that's another thing you have to be very, very careful of and understand in this
Yep.
war. It's a spiritual war, but it's also a very financial war. They want the conservatives flat broke, because then it's very...
This is a financial war, and this is why one of the main things that I try to keep myself out of is debt. Any type of loan, any type of finance that I put on myself. If I'm going to school, taking financial aid. If I'm getting a house, taking a house loan. If I'm going to open a business, taking a loan for a business. I'm very, very scared to do these things, because if those things go south and I don't have the finances to pay for them, I'm going to have to sell all of my other assets that I own, such as my computer, my laptop, my cell phone, my car, my house. I'm going to have to sell these things to pay off my debts. And then even after I pay off my debts, I'm still left with $0. So I'm the type of person that would rather be poor until I'm rich. Meaning, hey, if I have $20,000, $30,000 and I go and I put all of my hard work earned money into it and I lose it, at least I'm back to zero, and I'm not back to zero plus 80 grand in debt. You know what I'm saying? I just don't have a very, 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 very opposing, not opposing, but acceptant. I don't have acceptance towards taking loans and taking debts and paying interest. It's modern day slavery, and I don't want to be a part of it in any way. I'd rather be homeless on the side of the street any day than to be $80,000 in debt and living inside of a house with a refrigerator and air conditioning. There's something about it. It's just like the homeless man on the side of the street is actually more. He's more free, and he has more money than you. You're in $80,000 hole, so it's like, yeah. So yeah, they do fear people who are the banking system. They fear people who don't need their money, who don't need their loans, who don't need their handouts. And those are the people that are going to fight against them at the end of the day. Those are the people who are going to overpower
What
them.
you said is so powerful, and we're totally simpatico, because that's exactly what I was thinking of. 170 million, at least to Ukraine. Money is fuel in your tank. Money is the symbol of energy that allows you to have mobility. If your dad was a world champion chess player, I know you're a great chess player, I'm a terrible one, but I understand the game. If you couldn't move your pieces, you could never even play the game.
Correct.
So imagine if the chess
Correct.
pieces didn't even have energy to move. That's where they want us, isolated, back to the pod.
Pretty much.
Absolutely. Back to the pod. So this is what we have to do to truly win this war. I believe spiritually people's minds are awakening and they're starting to understand all the MSM does is lie. Then what we have to do is make sure that everybody who follows us genuinely feels an absolute increase in the living conditions, and they feel more positive, and they feel more disciplined and hardworking, and their real life outside of the internet actually improves. And the third thing is, I believe I have a responsibility to try and make every single person who believes in me and follows me, helping them in every way possible, and one of them is financial. I think that's the way we win this war. I think that when all of the capital is owned by people who are sensible, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to enslave us. And unfortunately right now, the capital is owned by people who are only interested in control. And when you want to control people, you have to remove their sensibilities. Because if someone has sensibilities, they have parameters. They have limits. If you don't want people with limits, if you're in charge of the world, you want to control everybody, you want to remove their sensibilities so they have no limit, so you can tell them some absolute garbage. You can tell them to put a mask on and stay in their house and be afraid of the common cold. That's what you want. So we need to make sure that people with sensibilities are as well funded as possible, are as physically strong as possible, and are as spiritually strong as possible, and are brave. And that's why people like Trump and I and you, we have a duty to God to live by example, to show that you can approach these situations with bravery. You have to be a man about all of this. Otherwise, you may as well just go get in the pod and pray they don't kill you.
Gut level, I asked you the question earlier and you elaborated on it, but you didn't specifically answer because the question was 3 minutes long. Is humanity winning right now, or are we at a stalemate? Where would you say we are?
I do believe that there's been a shift in consciousness, and I do believe we are winning. However, I can give two answers. I can give a very positive answer, and I can also give a pessimistic answer.
Give us both. Give us, because that's the way the world works. There's always two directions.
Yeah. So my pessimistic answer is as follows. I believe the people who are in charge of the world are genuinely in charge of the entire world. I believe they set up structures to allow one populace to benefit off the exploitation of another populace. I believe that the populace which is exploited is usually the most ignorant one. And I think that as we awaken and as things shift, and perhaps we don't adhere to the type of life they want us to live, as we become a thorn in their sides, they're going to rewrite the rules, and instead of exploiting other countries for the benefit of the West, they're going to start exploiting the West for the benefit of other countries, and they're simply going to shift their global finance, and they're going to shift their base of operations.
Totally agree. Reverse colonialism.
Reverse colonialism. They have no problem watching Africa burn for Europe to get rich. And most people don't understand. They also have no problem watching Europe burn for Africa to get rich. They have no problem flipping the script. They have no problem letting Europe burn. They let it get rich off Africa. Now they'll let Africa get rich off of burning Europe. They have no problem with that. And reverse colonialism, I think, is something that's really going to happen in the next 20 to 30 years. As we wake up, and as we don't want to adhere to their garbage anymore, and as we have higher standards for ourselves, they're going to sit and go, these people think they're smart. Okay, we'll make them the serfs, and we'll just build up our lives somewhere else in Asia or the Middle East. I think the Middle East is going to be the most powerful area for the next 50 to 60 years, personally, is what I believe. But I think that's the pessimistic answer. The positive answer is, ultimately, I do believe we have control. I think the population has control. I think that the closer we get to sensibility and truth and honor is also the closer we get to God. I think that when enough of us band together and resist, it doesn't actually take as many people as you think to inspire the general population to stop adhering to these slave principles. And I do believe that a new age for the West is coming. I think that we are in a much better position than we were 3 or 4 short years ago. But I do also think a lot pins on 2024. So it's very interesting, the situation we're in. It's actually very interesting.
Well, I got to say this. I'm very thankful to Paul Watson, who I've known for 21 years, for introducing me to you like 6 years ago, and you've come to Austin.
Are they trying to hit Paul? Sorry, are they trying to hit Paul with the same shit?
Yeah.
That they're hitting me with?
Yeah, I don't want to. Well, yes, they are. So it really hasn't broke yet.
So
but
sad.
I mean, it's broke, so we can talk about it. I mean, obviously, Paul's a tall, muscular, good-looking dude like you. Literally, I've known Paul for 21 years. He's been here many times, been in Europe with him. Women throw themselves at him, and they have talked to. He's a successful guy. The hundreds of women, and looks like they found one. So.
Who, Paul what? I know him by face 100%. Paul what? Paul? Not Paul Walker.
Oh, yeah, they're trying the same thing.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. You offer 100 women a bribe.
Oh, yeah, they're trying the same. And they have talked to. He's a successful guy. The hundreds of women, and they have talked to. He's a successful guy. The hundreds of women, and looks like they found one. So, yeah, they're trying the same thing.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. You offer 100 women a bribe, one of them with no soul or a bone to pick. That's all it takes. It's insane.
Absolutely.
It's scary. I feel it's scary.
Absolutely. Well, it's their tactics. So, but I'm very
Paul,
glad
what?
Paul introduced me to you when you were already successful and champion in fighting and TV shows and things, but you've exploded since then. But I got to say, you are definitely Andrew Tate 2.0. You were always a great interview, one of the best. I got to say, man, what you're saying, what you're doing is about the best thing I've heard. I mean, I think you're even topping Tucker Carlson right now with your understanding of rhetoric. So congratulations. And I guess that's what we've been told in history is a man's got to go through the fire like a sword to get even that stronger. Is that how you're feeling?
Thank you, sir. I super appreciate that. And yeah, absolutely. It's certainly very true. I believe that it's pain that teaches. I don't believe men especially can learn any way besides pain. We talk about learning a lesson the easy way or the hard way, and I'll tell you something. We've all been offered chances to learn a lesson the easy way our entire lives. And guess what? We didn't learn anything, and we kept doing it. You can see it it's natural, intrinsic inside of men. You'll see a man drive a car too fast and almost crash 100 times, and he won't learn his lesson until he's crashed that car. We only learn things the hard way. It's only pain that can teach a man. Every single time something bad happens to me, that's how I see it. I see it as God teaching me to make me more wise.
Yeah, I finished reading the Quran, I started reading the Bible, and I pray to God every single day, 5 times a day. When I get down and I ask God every single day, what I pray for is for God to make me stronger, to guide me to the straight path, to push me, no matter what. Get those bad habits that I have out of my life. Get the bad people that I have out of my life. Start pushing these things away from me forcefully. Force me into a guidance through you. because I cannot handle this shit anymore. I cannot handle the life around me, the people around me, the world around me. It's too twisted. It's too fucked up. And yeah, when you ask God to guide you, he's been beating my ass for the last 2 weeks. Like boom, 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 one after the other, just boom. And I'm like, can I get 1 day? Can I please get 1 day? And God's like, no, you asked me to become stronger. You asked me to guide you. You asked me to get rid of your bad habits. Boom, boom, boom. Starts beating my ass. And that's it. If you're not going to go through the hardships, if you're not going to go through those trials and tribulations, then you're never going to learn from them. You're never going to get stronger. You're never going to get better.
More formidable, a more capable.
What he's saying is
and that's how you
awesome.
have to approach life. Otherwise, how else can I make sense of all the things I've been through? And certainly, I don't read very much. I don't study that often. Everything I talk about are just things I learned from observation. And it's kind of interesting that the world's really not that complicated. The world's only ever been about one thing and always ever will be. It's about power. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a relationship between a man and a woman. It doesn't matter if you're talking about global economic policy. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a war in Ukraine. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. The world's always ever been about power. That's all it's going to be about to the end of human time. And they'll put all these other masks on it. They'll pretend it's about humanity and pretend it's about caring about your race or your nationality or all these other things. But truthfully, at the bottom line of all of it is power. And it's people trying to put together structures where they feel as empowered as possible so they can protect themselves and protect the people they care about. I'm not going to hide the fact that I want our team to have as much power as possible. And the other side, the liars, those who live under the veil of deception, they're only interested in power. It's always been a power struggle since the beginning of time. Then you look at power. How do you get power over people? Well, you influence them. So now it's a battle for influence. Why are they attacking me? Because I have influence. I can influence the populace. They offered me money to sell my soul, and I said, no, I am no longer wanted in this game. I am a wild card that they're not interested in. It's always been about influence. It doesn't matter if you take tanks to a pitch.
Here, watch. Let's Andrew Tate. I'm just going to Google Andrew Tate and see what kind of comes up. Andrew Tate. News about Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate prosecution files graphic claims. Andrew Tate told rape victim would get her pregnant and lock her in a house. Her uncle can't get enough of Andrew Tate. She is fed up with her disgusted misogyny. Andrew Tate BBC interview. It's interesting. The top. It's interesting how biased like the top results are. Like it's not even mixed with like some good, some bad. It's just garbanzo beans, huh? It's human trafficking. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. It's all negative
battle
stuff.
In Ukraine and fight a pitched battle, or it doesn't matter if you lie on MSM. It's all the same thing. It's about trying to get influence over.
Andrew Tate ain't my best friend. He's not my brother. He's not my anything. I don't fucking know this guy. I always said from the beginning, he could be working with the Matrix. Like, if you want full deception, you gotta question everything, man. Like, the world around you is so deceptive that, like, what Andrew Tate's saying is 100% true. What makes you think that any of this is actually happening to him? Maybe. Maybe, just maybe. These guys are activists. And just like the left, the hard left works activism, the hard right works activism, and they're getting paid by the same people. So how do you really know that Andrew Tate is not just doing all of this to rile up the right side? And then you have people on the left side, like fucking Joe Biden, riling up people here. And you have Andrew Tate riling up people here. And all this is doing is causing some type of divide. I don't know. I'm not God. But to sit here and to say, like, oh my God, because this guy, he believes everything I believe and he's preaching it and he's preaching it, it doesn't mean he doesn't work for them. He's not an activist. He's not a part of the plan. Even if he's not a part of the plan, they might be using him as a part of the plan. He might not even realize it. So I find it very, very interesting. Like, they just want to divide people. And the more they can divide people, the better it is for them to control us. It doesn't really matter how they divide us. You just need to divide us so we can't think the same. We can't come together and think like-mindedly.
For people's minds to control how they think, because then you can control how they act, which gives you power. That's the bottom line of how the entire world works. So when you sit here and some politician stands up and says, I care so much about the planet, I think the sun is too hot, stay in your house and give me all your money, it's nothing to do with the sun, it's about power.
Pretty much.
Well, you said it, and I think there's another part to that equation. What is the destiny? What is the architecture? What is the worldview of the individual? And then how much power can they get to manifest that vision? So power is the energy source, or use a silly, I never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I've read about it, strike power or whatever. So power is energy and how much you're able to build, how much building material you have. Then there is destiny and culture and will and the type of system you want to expand. And then that's where culture comes in. And we see the globalists selling the most ugly garbage you could ever imagine because they don't want to inspire the general public.
Yep.
Because they know coming out of the general public is always the inventors, the scientists, the leaders, the trailblazers that have always overturn the corrupt, decadent, inbred elites when they have fulfilled their usefulness.
They're at war against us. What is the primary objective of war? The primary objective of war is to destroy your enemy's capability to resist. That's the only objective. What is war? I must destroy my enemy's capability to resist. It doesn't matter if you do that with a Tomahawk missile. It doesn't matter if you do that with the stroke of a pen and a law. It doesn't matter if you do that with a mainstream media propaganda machine. By destroying your opponent's enemy to resist, your capability to resist, that is how you win a war. So when they're trying to make us depressed and weak and stupid and ignorant and fearful, they are destroying our capability to resist. They are at war against us. They don't need to shoot us with guns to be at war.
That's right. Their number one mission is to make us poor so they can control us and isolate us and make us depressed. And you said something about 20 minutes ago that when I heard it was such an incredible truth, and I'm going to use it as a slogan now and give you credit. I've never heard anyone say it. I've heard it said other ways about the private Federal Reserve, the IMF, the World Bank, and the Rothschilds, and the Rockefellers, that they control the printing press, but it's really true. The left prints the money. The left is financed with printed money. They print, the left controls the printing of money. And
correct.
And so that's why they want to say, oh, how dare you sell products, or how dare you sell self-help stuff, or how dare you sell anything. We're all bad. We're all evil because we have, 1/1000th the money they've stolen through fraud. Like magicians, they produce nothing, and now they look at all the wealth we produced upstream, swimming against the current, and they say, oh, carbon taxes and regulations, we're going to shut all that down.
I haven't been able to see
They
Alex
can only
Jones the whole
operate
time.
through us, and we're right back where George Washington was 250 years ago.
Absolutely, you just nailed it. And if they can control the money, they control the pipeline to shut you off. And once again, what is the primary objective of war? To destroy your enemy's capability to resist. You can't make money, you can't resist. And that's exactly what they're interested in. I don't think most people understand that. There are wars happening on every single level against our own populaces and our countries trying to fight other populaces at the exact same time. PSYOP is a war.
Haircut
PSYOP is a war. Laws being passed that prevent you from living a full life is a war. It doesn't matter if it's a bullet or a stroke of a pen. If they destroy your capability to resist, then you are being defeated in a war. That's all war ever is, and life is war. We are fighting a war right now, and there's a war against our minds. They don't want anybody to be rich and brave. Those two things, rich, brave, opinionated. If you're those three things, you're a target for the system.
Well, that's right. Wealthy means mobility. It means independence. And, oh, it's okay if,
Correct.
The globalists steal trillions of dollars. That's okay. But if you try to teach young men and other people to be successful, you're the bad guy. So let's, in the 20, 30 minutes we've got left here, with Andrew Tate, shift gears into some of the other facets of this world. If you pull back and think about when this interview ends and the points you wish you would have made, what are those points?
It's a really good question. And I really hope, when people watch me, what I truly hope is, because we all live different lives and we have different life paths. And I think that the truth is always somewhere in the middle. I'm not saying I'm 100% correct. And I'm not, I do believe my enemies are 100% wrong. However, the truth is always going to be somewhere in the middle. And I like hearing different opinions. I love hearing people who disagree with me, who agree with me, with a slightly different caveat, with other points to add. I think my primary objective is to inspire people to stand up and speak and be unapologetic in what they believe, and to make sure they work hard enough in life and go through enough pain so they've learned enough lessons so their opinions are not just waffle, but they're based on real world experiences. And I really hope everyone at home watching this feels better afterwards and understands that we only live once. And on your deathbed, you're going to regret all the things you did not say. I don't think you're going to regret the things you said nearly as much as you're going to regret the things you did not say.
Didn't say.
And you're also going to regret all the times you did not take the brave choice. If you're not sure what to do, you should take the brave option. And I think on your deathbed, you'll always be glad you were brave. And I have that peace in my heart, even when they throw me in a Romanian jail, that I know I always took the brave choice. I never took the coward's way out. I never took the easy way out, because that hurts your soul. And you're not just a person, you're also a spiritual being, and you need to do things which benefit your spirit. And it's amazing what a spirit of fire and genuine capability gives you. It's something which is tangible. It can be seen, it can be felt, it can be heard. And that's all comes from doing the brave thing. So I think that I hope everybody at home feels energized. I hope they make the brave choice. I hope they believe what they say and say what they believe. And I hope they stand up for themselves. And I think that alone, along with belief in God, is enough to fix many of the problems we're discussing in society today.
Incredible. And again, this isn't like simping here, to another dude, but I really do admire people that have courage under adversity. We go watch movies like Bridge Over the River Kwai, based on some of the
This
things
is not
that happened
simping to another dude.
in World War II. It's historical fiction where the Japanese are trying to break the soldiers and they don't break. We admire those people. Well, I mean, I've been following you for many years and watch your fights and your training and all of it. But most people go into prison and shrivel up and get smaller. You get out of the jail after 3 months in solitary confinement, being fed God knows what, and you're not a roid guy. You can tell you're real muscle. You look like what Arnold Schwarzenegger wished he would have when you came out of that tiny cell. I've never seen anything like that. You look like just an absolute Spartan.
Looks like a fucking beast,
charging out of there. What in the hell did you do in there?
Endless push-ups, endless, thousands a day, and this is the truth about my message as a whole. God is going to test you, and he's going to see if you really are the man you say you are. It's easy to say you're a tough guy, then God's going to put you in a position where you get a chance to prove you're a tough guy. I didn't miss a single day's training. I did not miss a single day.
Exactly. I get down every day, 5 times a day, and I tell God, I'm weak. I have addictions. I have problems. I need to push myself. I need to become great, not just for me, but my family. Not just for my family, but my friends. Not just for my friends, but for my society. Not just for my society, but for you, God. Because you created me. You created me with 2 eyes, 2 hands, a mouth, a brain. You created me with all of these blessings around me. You created the magnificent world. And I'm just going to throw it away so I can work for some banker and fucking smoke and die in my house. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, when you ask God and you seek help and you want to become stronger and you want to become better, God's going to put you through it. And he's going to put you through it hard. If you know any of the stories about any of the prophets, they were put through the hardest trials, tribulations, and tests. Out of any man that ever lived, they were put through the hardest trials, tribulations, and tests. I mean, look at Christianity. There's a whole religion based on the sacrifice of Jesus, right? And they think Jesus is God. Why would you think Jesus is God? Well, because he made a sacrifice and he went through the worst of things. And even though he was a magnificent person, he was tested the hardest. So it's just, if you want to come out stronger and you want to come out better, God's going to test you in the hardest ways possible. And when you think you got it, he's going to push you more. When you think you got it, he's going to hit you again. And you think you got back up, he's going to hit you again. He's going to keep going until you become the strongest version of yourself. So it's 100% truth.
Push-ups in that cell.
100%
I wasn't
truth.
too depressed to train. I wasn't too sad to train, too anxious to train, too frustrated to train. I trained endlessly every single day. And it's interesting you talk about movies because it's true. Every single hero in every single movie goes through adversity. There's never been a hero movie where all he does is win. No, to be a hero, you have to suffer. And this can be extrapolated out, not just about my life, but about all men out there. If you're suffering in some degree, even if you're a normal guy with a normal job and you're suffering at your job, or you've had your heart broken because your girl left you, or whatever, if you're suffering, that's part of your hero's journey. There is no hero's journey without suffering. If you have an easy life the whole way through, you never get to be a hero. That's the whole point of being a man, is that you're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to eat pain for breakfast. You're supposed to come and grow into a better version of yourself. That's exactly what life's supposed to be about as a man. And another thing I want to say, when you mentioned that movie that popped to my head, I find it amazing that men will sit and watch movies about prisoners of war in Japan, or watch movies about men who go to war and risk their lives, or watch all these hero movies, and they have admiration for the hero, and they believe themselves to be some version of a hero, and then they're too afraid to say no to putting on a mask.
And you sit on the
If you're
fucking
not willing to
couch.
say no to putting on a mask, don't watch hero movies anymore. Because you're certainly not a hero.
Yeah.
You are one of the villains. You're not even one of the important villains. You're not even one of the villains with a name. You're the stupid little henchmen who get these guys who are on screen for a flash of a second and die without consequence. Nobody even cares or mentions them again. Their family don't even get to give them a funeral. They're nobodies. You're a nobody villain. You're not even an important one. The important villains, we know their names. You're a number. You're not a name. If you're going to watch superhero movies, you don't have a mask on your fucking face. And if you want to be a superhero in life, you need to understand that for 80% of the movie, you're going to suffer. For 80% of the movie, you're going to lose. Watch any superhero movie. For 80% of the movie, it is nothing but pain and frustration.
Look at his fucking jugular vein. You see this shit? You guys see this? This is an angry man. And, like, you guys got to understand, like, he might be able to say what he's saying nicer, but he's fed up, bro. When you look around you and the world's collapsing around you, it's hard to be content and realized, and like when people start saying things that are completely like hey, you know, the side of this Rubik's Cube is blue, and you show someone, you're like, what color is this? And they're like, red. And you're like, come on, you know this is not red. What color is this? And they're like, it's red. And you're like, come on, what color is this? And they're like, is it yellow? And you're like, are you serious? What color is this? And they're like, yellow. Eventually you're going to be like, it's fucking blue! Like, you're just going to freak out. So this is the point that Andrew Tate is getting to. This is the point of, like, what the fuck's going on with the world? What is happening, you know? And it's very frustrating. He gets his fucking jugular veins popping out his damn neck.
To grow into something fantastic, and you should thank God for every difficult thing he puts in your path.
No, I agree, but perhaps you should put the solitary confinement workout book out. I'm serious, because we're going to find it in post. I saw it. Like a damn, you came out, you were working out, and like you had Schwarzenegger arms before you were really built, you know, a boxer, fighter. So you were, you could tell it wasn't juice muscle. Obviously, they weren't giving you juice in there. It was like, you got like, what the hell, what was your regimen in there?
Yeah, so I knew the guards were watching me, and I'm stubborn, and I believe that every time I did push-ups and they saw me doing them, I believed in my heart it annoyed them. And I am a very stubborn man, because they wanted me to be sad and broken. But every time they saw me, I was sweating and training. And every single time they'd check, they saw nothing but a lion who refused to stop doing push-ups. And they didn't want to do push-ups. They were too lazy. They're sitting around. They're the guards. They're not doing anything. And every single time they checked me, for weeks and weeks and weeks, all I did was train. And I found the motivation to do it by knowing that it bothered them that I refused to quit. I'm stubborn like that. And I don't even know if it's true. All I know is that I can adopt a mental model which makes me as competitive as possible, and I decided my push-ups bothered them, and they were the ones who were keeping me locked in a room.
There's also a difference between people who are stubborn, people who are cocky, people who are arrogant. You have to be cocky with yourself. You have to believe, like, I'm the fucking best. I can do it. I'm going to beat you. You got a 5-minute mile. I'm going to get a 4.5-minute mile. Oh, you got a 4.5-minute mile. I'm going to get a 4-minute mile. That cockiness, that arrogance is confidence. And that confidence is competitiveness. That competitiveness drives you to actually win, to actually get it done, to execute that job at the best performance you could possibly perform at. And some people are really, really good at not using that confidence and cockiness and overshadowing it on other people and coming off like a real big dickhead. And some people are just like real in your face, like, I'm the fucking best and I don't care. And they come off very like Now, I don't want to be around that person because they think they're all of that and they think they're this and they think they're that. But at the same time, you have to be like that. That's what drives you to become the best person. It's just some people deal with it differently. Some people do it very, very good and very, very bad.
So I will do push-ups at them. I didn't do push-ups
Yeah, Green
for
Man.
me.
It is what it is.
At them endlessly. If I was away,
You gotta start.
I was doing
You gotta start somewhere, Greenman. You gotta start somewhere. I'm just chilling here, chilling in my room, trying to find some truth out here, and yeah, it's a vibe. You gotta come in here and show some love, show some support, leave a comment, leave a like. It helps. It helps magnificently. Every single person that comes in here boosts me up. So I appreciate you coming in here, bro.
push-ups, or I was resting, preparing for my next set at them. It was my only weapon of defiance.
How many did you do a day?
Thousands. 1,500, 1,600 a day.
Oh my God. Man, I remember feeling
Endless.
sorry for you and worried about you.
I'll talk to myself all
I saw
day.
you.
Trust me.
When you boiled out of there, I was like, what the hell? I gotta find the photos, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, arms that big, dude. Like, your arms went from this to like this. I mean, God almighty.
Think about a superhero movie. A man is unfairly imprisoned in a Romanian jail cell and trained so hard he emerges stronger than ever before. That is a movie. You get to live a movie as a man if all you had was some balls. Even you, think about your movie. You're literally saving the world, predicting the future. Our movies, I'm the most Googled man alive. We are living movie scripts. Why? Because we have bravery. Most men sit there and wonder why they're depressed because you don't get to live a movie. You're not the main character of anything. You're not even a secondary character in anyone else's movie. You're an unimportant nobody because you were afraid your entire life. You've lived like a coward your whole life. You were afraid of what might happen if you have some balls. And then you wonder why you're depressed. I'd be depressed if I was you. Of course, your life sucks. I'd rather go to jail as me than live free as you. Because when you're free, you can't even do anything.
I was just talking about that, being homeless
You can't
and
have
being in
sex,
debt.
girls don't want you. You can't speak because no one listens. So what are you free to do? You're more in jail than I ever was. When I was in jail, I was getting thousands of love letters from beautiful women around the world. Every single tweet I put out was watched by millions of people. I wasn't in jail. I was still.
Well, let's be clear, not millions, 50 to 100 million. Let's stop playing it down.
50 to 100, yeah, 50 to 100 million people, exactly. Most of these people who have lived with cowardice in an attempt to preserve their freedom aren't even free. And that's what they don't understand. They're enslaved worse than I ever have been or ever will be.
Guys, don't fall for the tricks. The media tricks, the financial tricks, especially the financial tricks. Once they get you, they got you. Once they get you, they got you. Like, you're sitting there $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 in debt, school, loans, mortgage, lease agreements and payments, phone bills. Watch yourself. Watch yourself. Once you put yourself into a debt and you don't have the money to clear that debt, you are now a slave. You have become a slave. You are working your way out of a hole. Be careful. I'd rather be poor on the side of the street any day than be a slave, than to be trapped. I'll say what I want. I'll spend what I want. I'll do what I want. And if they don't fucking like it, they can come get me. It just is what it is. It literally just is what it is.
My mind is free. I'm allowed to think what I want to think and say what I want to say. They have thoughts and they go, don't know if I should say that. They second guess themselves. They're their own worst enemy. Every single part of me is on my team. I have enemies who want me dead. Fine. But every single part of me,
Hola,
my mind,
Maria.
my hands, my legs, every single part of me is on my team. My body doesn't second guess itself. My mind doesn't turn on itself. We don't break and self-sabotage. There's no civil wars inside of Andrew Tate. All of us against you. All of us.
Absolutely. So what would your advice be to President Trump?
Amazing.
I have absolute respect for how he's handling it. I think that he needs to understand, I think he now does understand that you can't reason with unreasonable people. I think perhaps in his last presidency he tried to be reasonable with savages, and God willing he will win again, and he will be far more strict with issuing justice against those who are deceptive and live with lying intent. I really am praying for him. I think everybody...
Andrew Tate's voice is getting more like Alex Jones. It's getting real raspy. And he's fucking talking to him. It's like he's been screaming the whole time.
He's going through, truly everybody. But the moral arc of the universe does bend towards truth.
It's been literally
And I pray
screaming.
In the end, everything will work out well for him.
I agree with you on
That's
that.
funny as shit.
What do you think about the Ukraine-Russia situation?
Watch the full episode now on Rumble.
I think I need to watch the rest of this. I do need to watch the rest. Okay, where am I? Andrew Tate. Rumble.com. Tate. Speech. No, none of this. Give me the main boy. There we go.
It feels like eternity we've been screaming the truth to the world.
The best tasting, don't said it, and let's expand on that. They've tried to set me up for rape. They're trying to set you up with it.
Help some of our friends be popular on TikTok. Then these two girls were supposed to leave and seen a person in fantastic. Absolutely.
Always the inventors.
It's about power. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a relationship between a man and a woman. It doesn't matter if you're talking about global, much better position than we were 3 or 4 short years ago. But I do also think a lot pins on 2024. So
1 second. Let's figure out where the hell we are here.
understand that you can't reason with unreasonable people. I think perhaps in his last presidency he tried to be reasonable with savages.
Okay.
Trains.
So about an hour and 30 minutes in, he's walking around here. Okay, cool.
If your life is that way, you have a chance to grow into something fantastic, and you should thank God for every difficult thing he puts in your path. Yeah, that's a very interesting one. It's incredible to me. You know, and this is one of the subjects I have to be careful I talk about because I'm right on the border. It's literally a few hours away. So I have to be very careful what I say. But I will just make one comment. When we pulled out of Afghanistan, I said to Tristan, but they need a war. And Tristan goes, where?
Okay, 1 second. We're gonna go back.
Freedom aren't even free.
There we go. That'll work. And let me just adjust this real quick. Let's pull it over. Let's pull it over.
And that's what they don't understand. They're enslaved worse than I ever have been or ever will be. My mind is free. I'm allowed to think what I want to think and say what I want to say. They have thoughts and they go, don't know if I should say that. They second guess themselves. They're their own worst enemy. Every single part of me is on my team. I have enemies who want me dead, fine. But every single part of me, my mind, my hands, my legs, every single part of me is on my team. My body doesn't second guess itself. My mind doesn't turn on itself. We don't break and self-sabotage. There's no civil wars inside of Andrew Tate. All of us against you, all of us.
Absolutely. So what would your advice be to President Trump?
I have absolute respect for how he's handling it. I think that he needs to understand, and I think he now does understand that you can't reason with unreasonable people.
I wonder if I'm gonna get if this video is gonna get like flagged and thrown to the side and shit on YouTube.
I think perhaps in his last presidency he tried to be reasonable with savages, and God willing he will win again, and he will be far more strict with issuing justice against those who are deceptive and live with lying intent. I really am praying for him. I think everybody understands what he's going through, truly everybody. But the moral arc of the universe does bend towards truth, and I pray in the end everything will work out well for him.
I agree with you on that. What do you think about the Ukraine-Russia situation?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. It's incredible to me. You know, and this is one of the subjects I have to be careful I talk about because I'm right on the border. It's literally a few hours away. So I have to be very careful what I say. But I will just make one comment. When we pulled out of Afghanistan, I said to Tristan, but they need a war. And Tristan goes, where? I was like, I don't know, but they need one. They need one somewhere because that's how it works. And it's kind of like a metaphor for life. It's funny, we pulled out of Afghanistan, was it 3 weeks later? Didn't take long. A few emails, boom, new war. You need a war, right? And because I have to be careful what I say about the war specifically, even though I think that sums it up. I think most people understand exactly what I'm saying.
Tate.
Because I'm on the border of Ukraine.
Yeah.
I will say that it's also a fantastic metaphor for life. I don't think war ever ends. It just changes. It just moves. And if you're a man and you're going through something in your life, you think, everything will be fine once this is over. You'll learn that the war has ended in one place and it started again somewhere else, and that war never ends, and we're in a constant state of war. I sit around with my brother and we talk about, man, when this is over and we finally beat this case, we're going to be so happy. But I think there'll be a new war. I think there'll be a new case, or a new problem, or a new difficulty, or a new struggle, or new pain. This is never going to end. So war never
pretty
ends.
much.
It just shifts and just moves. And I think, unfortunately, as Afghanistan ended, somewhere had to be chosen. And it's not necessarily about what's right or what's wrong or what's just. It's just about the fact that it's a very unfortunate reality of this world that sometimes people just die and they don't even really know why. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, basically, you can either adapt or don't adapt, right? And if you don't adapt and you want to live in this fairy tale world where you say, you know, there's no war, the world doesn't suck, you know, like things aren't going to happen, I'm safe, I'm protected, I'm fine, I'm blah, and something happens, you're fucked. So, I mean, it's good to understand the reality of the world around you and the reality of what these evil bankers and evil politicians and evil governments really do.
Ass out there.
If there's God, then there's Satan, and Satan's
He's an
working
amazing
triple
guy.
as
Let's
hard.
Talk about Tristan.
I have the best brother on the planet. And he's the best brother on the planet because we are a team, and we are a truly unbreakable team.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always been a team. I can't imagine there's never been a point in our lives we were not a team. We've been a team since the absolute beginning.
Stay close to your family.
2 brothers are worth 10 men. 2 brothers are worth 10 friends. And that's just how
2
we
brothers
are
are
as men.
worth
We
10
approach
friends,
everything
exactly.
together. He has said to me repeatedly, they better not put you in jail without me. They better put us both in jail. If you're going to jail, I'm going to jail.
I was about to say, you couldn't.
No matter what my brother does to me, what my brother says to me, I will always stand beside my fucking brother. And not that I will stand beside some of the bad things that he does or I'll justify the negative things that he does. I won't. I'll literally beat the fuck out of him myself. But that's not the point. The point is like, your brother is the one that's going to think most like you. He's the one that's going to defend you the most. He's the one that you can trust with information the most. You guys are going to grow together. You guys came out of the same ball sack. Like, you guys are just like connected in a spiritual way. It's so different to even comprehend. And I can say a lot of the same things about my cousins. Like, I have a lot of cousins that I can connect to, like, directly. Like, they're my brothers, bro. Like, I would never... Like, there's something about a family connection, that blood connection, that just doesn't beat anything else.
What was it like in jail? Let's talk
Doesn't
about
beat
that.
anything else.
And then not seeing your brother that you're so close to. Talk about that.
Yeah, for a long time we were not together. Then we ended up in the same cell for a while. I think we all know why that was done. I think if people who understand how ops work understand why they wanted us in the same room. So we were in the same room for a little while.
So they were recording
But, you said it, Alex. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because we drew strength from the fact that we knew the other was being strong at all times. And that gives you an incredible source of strength. Like, I knew he was being a man, and he knew I was being a man. And it's amazing what groupthink can do. We talked about how destructive it can be in regards to how it can destroy civilizations.
But the reverse is even more powerful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When enough men get in a room and get pissed off, we'll charge at machine guns. It's amazing what you can do to the male psyche. When you have men around you who are brave, we can literally go over the top of the trench. It's incredible what can happen. So that's the big...
When you have a man that's working at 100% efficiency and another man who's working at 100% efficiency and they're next to each other and one is working harder than the other has that complex that we were talking about earlier, that confidence or that cockiness. I can do better. I can make it happen. You know, if you did 10 pull-ups, I can do 15 pull-ups. And that is what really pushes men, especially men who have a light thinking, to really work together and push past boundaries that you could never even imagine that you can push
It's a
past.
source of strength for me and my brother.
And that's also why I tell a lot of people, like, when Muslims pray and they all pray in the same direction at the same point of the day, like when it's time to pray the afternoon prayer, which is happening right now. Everyone that is Muslim in the same region is going to stand up at the same time and pray towards the same direction at the same God at the same time, and that connection, that willingness, that group work, putting it together and forcefulizing that energy is unmatched. You can't match it. It's impossible. It works wonders.
We'll walk in the same room, give each other a nod, don't even say a word, and we're instantly ready to die because we've always been that way. And I only like hanging around with men who think that way. And that's why another reason, if you want to apply it to society, one of the reasons they attack masculine friendships so heavily and try and make out like men shouldn't be friends and being friends with men is gay and all this garbage. They try and destroy it because they want men lonely. Because as a lonely man, you're much easier to kill.
By the way, that's a key thing. They make that joke because you love and promote men being strong and you love your brother. They call you gay. How sick claiming someone loves their brother is that these people are sick. They don't know the strength of male camaraderie. They don't know the strength of kinship. They don't even have any idea. Because the left are almost all completely alone. Like you said, they don't have it. That's why they hate us, because they ain't got it.
These are your gay brothers right here.
And misery loves company, so they try to drag us down to their level. And it's amazing where if you get 9 brave men in a room and 1 coward, that coward will probably still do the brave thing. He doesn't want to be seen as the only coward in the room. Peer pressure is real in both directions, both up and down. A downward spiral is real because people adhere to groupthink, but so is an upwards tornado of truth and justice is also real if people adhere to groupthink. So that's why bravery is so important, and that's why masculine friendship is so important. I can't be a coward, my brother won't let me. He can't be a coward, I won't let him. And it's a feedback loop. It's like what.
And don't you feel that towards your ancestors? Because anytime fear even creeps in, I think my ancestors were bad sons of bitches. I gotta measure up. I'm not even thinking about family. I'm thinking about my ancestors. When I'm gonna go all the way, I'm thinking, no, I don't come from scum. I come from warrior.
But if you literally just think about your grandfather, just think about your grandpa. Your grandpa is like 800 times the man as you are. Now imagine like 2 or 3 generations back. They would look at us today and be like, what the fuck happened?
I'm not backing down.
You guys got some fucking iPhones
Absolutely.
and this
And
is what happened to you.
For me to exist. Think of all the things they went through so that we could even breathe and talk.
Oh,
and I'm
man.
gonna use my time on Earth to be a coward and second guess myself and be afraid to tell the truth. Why did my ancestors fight and die then? For what? For me to be born and put a mask on? Is that it?
Yeah, put a mask on, shut the fuck up, eat processed foods,
pedophiles. This is disgusting.
pay the banks money.
And that's
Go
what
into
they want.
debt.
And most men, this is the
Have
thing that's very important. It's the final act.
fucked up
of
families.
destroying masculinity is that a lot of men no longer have shame. You have no shame left. You should be too ashamed to be a coward. You should be too ashamed to do the wrong thing. Where's your shame? Well, we destroy that, right? We destroy that even in schools with men and stuff. I'll tell you something. My brother can shame me into doing something. He can shame me. He can call me a pussy or a coward, and I'll stand up and say, no, I'm not, and I'll do the brave thing. Shame works for men sometimes. I say to men all the time. Men come to me and say, I can't get a girlfriend. I say, it's because you're a loser. You are a loser.
Yep.
Change that fact. Come to
Fix
me
it.
and prove to me you're not a loser. I will shame him, and he will react to it, and his life will improve. But now we have men with no shame. They'll walk around with no shame at all, and then we wonder why we have a whole bunch of cowards. Cowardice is all.
The amount of dudes that defend some fucked up nasty shit now is wild. And like the amount of dudes that will defend like females who are acting straight out of pocket, like whole shit activity. These dudes are supporting horse shit. Is insane. It's insane. I think there's more male feminists than there is female feminists. Nowadays, it's fucking crazy. It makes 0 sense. Like, it makes 0 sense.
But you should feel too much shame to take it.
You not have a dick between your
I
legs.
saw you tweet the other day, and we'll put it on screen later in post. We're taping this. But you said, I miss the nightmares, I miss the torture. But don't miss it too much. We don't want them to put you in prison. But you were, I think that was actually, from what you said, a true statement that you're strong outside jail, but you were almost lusting for the crucible again?
When I left jail, I had very bad nightmares. For a long time, I couldn't sleep at all. And I was using all that time to obviously be productive. I'm not going to be the kind of person who lays in bed doing nothing. I was training hard, I was working, I was doing as much as possible. And over time, my mind has healed itself. I never took any drugs, I never went to a psychotherapist, I never cried about it, I never tried to, well, I need sleep.
Your brain was wargaming it, and that's what I have. I love my nightmares because they make me stronger.
Absolutely. My brain was going through endless scenarios in my subconscious, and my brain was going through them all, and I decided that if God decides I need nightmares right now, then I'm going to take my nightmares, and if I wake up, I'm going to go to the gym. That's it. I'm not going to cry about it or be a bitch. And now, over time, my mind has healed itself without any...
I was talking about dreams yesterday.
That's the thing. I love my nightmares.
How I want my dreams back.
Years ago.
I know I'm unhealthy. I know I'm unhealthy when I cannot remember any of my dreams. I am someone who has psychoactive dreams. Like I used to have dreams every single night. I used to see things super vividly. I used to remember all my dreams. I have repetitive dreams, repeating dreams. I'd have sleep paralysis where I'd leave my body and I'd watch myself sleep and I'd be able to see things that were happening in the room while I slept. And now I don't have any dreams. The processed foods, the smoking, the technology where I'm sitting and I'm staring at lights and I'm staring at LEDs and I'm staring at this blue light. It's burning my fucking irises. And it's like, I can't have dreams anymore. I can't have dreams. If you think about dreaming, you dream for 6 to 8 hours at night. That's a whole nother life. That's a whole second life that you're living.
I enjoy them.
If you stop dreaming, you're literally missing out on half your life.
Soundly, and I'm angry.
You feel things, you learn things through them.
Time. I'm sleeping. I'm like, give me my nightmares back. I want to train like I was training. I was up all night. I was living
my fucking nightmares back, exactly.
Give me my nightmares back. Now
Please.
I'm living sleeping soundly, and that's the thing.
And I'd rather live through nightmares in my sleep than to live through nightmares when I'm awake. So please, God, show me these horrible things and put me through these things while I'm asleep and I'm not actually physically hurt by it, then for me to learn this stuff in the real world.
Mental shift. It's a semantic shift. I'm supposed to be afraid of these nightmares. I'm supposed to want them to go away. Well, I want them back. Now what? Now what are you going to do? You're going to put me in a jail cell? You're going to give them back to me? You're going to give me what I want? Give them to me. I was far more productive. I was a more capable predator with my nightmares. So I want them back. I'm furious my mind's healed itself. Luckily, I believe God's going to give me another event at some point in my life that's going to damage me again, which is going to allow me to once again enjoy those sleepless nights.
Yep.
I'm not afraid of pain. I'm not afraid of any of it. Alex, I've never been afraid of any of it. So I don't know what they're going to do to me. Besides put a bullet in my head, because I'm not scared.
Andrew, I've been on air 29 years. This is the most amazing interview I've ever done, hands down, because we're simpatico, because I've been through a lot of trauma, so have you. And instead of being victims, we realize it made us stronger. And we're finishing each other's sentences, which other men out there that have been taught to be victims and get into it and all this. And I'm not saying I'm the toughest guy around physically or anything, but I mentally have been through a lot. And it's so empowering once you embrace the mission.
And anyone that's watching this right now, I know there's not many people watching this. I ain't fucking Drake. I don't have a huge following. But just because these guys know certain things, because they've been through certain things, doesn't mean you have to go through those things to figure it out or to learn it. Like, it's plain simply in your face. Like, when you're seeing things happen in organization and in pattern over and over and over and over and over again in your face, learn from it. You don't have to go get burns like these people to understand what's happening. You don't.
We didn't talk before this other short call yesterday and some text messages. We are literally finishing each other's sentences.
And you can see how passionate these guys are about what they're saying. Their fucking veins are popping out of their neck. Like, when you watch a lot of these other people, they're talking, they're lying. They're clearly lying. They're literally reading like a script. These guys are genuinely, like, hurt by what they're saying. And they're not stuttering. Nothing. Just it's coming out. Just boom, 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 boom. It's because it's the truth. You don't have to practice the truth. It is what it is.
Yo, crime boss.
They're advertisements.
most desperate hour in the battle against evil, a radiant light descended from the heavens. God, in all his glory and his legion of angels, stood by Alex's side. The battle raged on, but with every blow, Alex Jones' conviction grew stronger. With every truth he proclaimed, the demonic forces faltered.
It's like the Bible.
When the enemy was vanquished, Alex Jones swore a solemn oath that should the realm need him again, he would return. And now it's Alex Jones, leading a full frontal assault on the satanic New World Order. Tune in at Infowars.com/show and share the link today.
We've been hearing about New World Order for forever.
It's the path of man, it's the path of victory, and it's the
We know
only
it's
path
there.
to truth. It's the only path.
We know they're resetting the financial system. We know they're resetting the way you think. We know they're resetting the way you think about God, the way that you interact with women, the way that women interact with men, the way marriages work, the way laws work, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. They're resetting the morality of the world
To genuine
completely.
happiness in your heart. There's one path. There's one. That's the reason we're finishing each other's sentences. There is one path to happiness.
Bless you in the
and
chat.
that is masculine strength, and that is eating pain for breakfast and becoming a better person. The flavor of life is pain. You try to change the flavor, you're going to end up disappointed, you're going to end up weak, you're going to end up miserable. Accept the flavor and learn to love it. That's the only path to genuine competence and happiness within yourself as a man.
Let's, in the few minutes we have left, and I appreciate your time today, talk about common sense things for young people watching or old people watching, anybody watching, to transcend the diversions and distractions. Men and women trained to fight each other. It's a real fight, but it's stupid. How do we fix that? Black on white, how do we fix that? How does somebody start the first steps? And take your time here, because I'm going to have my earpiece in, but I'm going to take a piss. Let me listen to you.
Absolutely.
What is the path to rehabilitating? Because you're a grandmaster of this. And I'm not just saying that. I didn't say that.
This guy's going to take a piss in the middle of an interview. I got to pee too.
On the next level, you get that now. You're saying, persecute me again. That's actually where I've gotten, and I almost feel guilty. I'm like,
I'll wait
I'm ready to
till
do
the end of the
firing
video.
squad. I don't care, like you said earlier.
It's 50
you're,
minutes
You're
though.
a grandmaster now of this. How do people at the lower level, who we love and care about, because we need them, how do we take them with us?
Absolutely. So here's what you have to do. Every single opinion you have inside of your mind, you need to understand where it came from. Most people at home have very strict, strong opinions about certain subjects, and they don't know where it came from. It may not even be personal experience.
Wonderful, Andrew
It may be
Tate.
from the TV. It may be from somebody who they respected told them.
You believe things and you don't know why you believe it. You take sources from things that are uncredible and you make them credible in your own head because you believe it. Don't fucking do that.
Maybe it's societal pressure. Maybe it's peer pressure. Maybe it was a book. Maybe it was YouTube. If you don't identify where your own ideas are from, then you don't know if they're good for you or not. Do you understand? The first thing you need to do is next time you find yourself having a strong opinion on said subject,
Question
you need
yourself.
to sit and say, where did this opinion come from?
Question yourself.
Then you need to decide, does the source of that opinion care about me?
Is it credible?
Does it want me to be better?
Yes.
And this is the reason my message is so strong. People will repeat things. Where'd you hear that? Andrew Tate. Well, Andrew Tate wants me to be strong and rich and motivated and be a sovereign individual who believes in speaking up for myself. Andrew Tate wants what's good for me. So yes, I'm allowed to have this opinion. If you have another opinion, where'd you get that from? Oh, CNN told me this is happening in wherever.
Yep.
Or this is what happened yesterday. Do they want good for you? Does CNN want you to be strong and rich and successful and motivated and happy? What does CNN want? Why is CNN telling you you're depressed? Do they want you to be miserable? If you do not identify the source of the ideas you hold, of the proof and backup and substantiation you have for the ideals that you repeat, then you can't identify whether they're good for you or not. You need to defrag your entire mind.
It's the damn truth.
Every single time you have any kind of strong opinion, you need to sit and say, okay, where did this come from? Another thing you need to do is you need to allow manipulation to find out where your opponent wants you to go and use your mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrator.
Yep.
I will sit and watch MSM in its entirety. I'll watch the entire news report to understand exactly what they want me to believe, and then I'll make sure that I don't believe it. Because most of the time, if you believe the absolute opposite they tell you, you're going to be completely fine.
Yep.
So you need to also be able to digest information, consume information without allowing it to stick to you. It has to be water off a duck's back.
Sup,
You
Al?
don't want to be ignorant. Allow
Miss you,
information
bro.
in and use your mind to break
been
track
weeks.
against perpetrators. And once you will learn that
It's
most
been
of the
weeks.
experiences you have in your life are
Saying God's been beating my ass. I haven't streamed, I haven't played a game, I haven't done like anything. Like Allah just been like boof, 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 boof. He's just trying to straighten me out, I guess.
Some personal experience, and not just one personal experience, repeated personal experience. That's why it's wisdom. It's not knowledge. You can get a kid who studies books all days long. He may be knowledgeable. He's not wise. That's why old people are wise, because you live it. And when you get wisdom, wisdom is very hard to combat against. So a lot of these people out here who don't really know what to think, or they're saying stupid things, or they seem confused, because they're repeating things they've been told to repeat, they don't know where it's from, and if people who are telling it to them, who want them to repeat it, do not have their best interests at heart.
Well, I am really impressed, and I've said that about 10 times because I am. I was already impressed before.
The way Tate speaks is fucking crazy. You know, he speaks with so much like passion, and that's what a good speaker does. They speak with passion, they speak with confidence, and usually when you're talking and you're saying things that you believe to be true, right, and you believe to be credible, and you care about specific things, that's how you're gonna come off. You're gonna come out aggressive. This guy's fucking vein is like popping out his damn neck when he speaks.
Like, it's wow. So we know everything the globalists sell and do is destructive. Let's talk about the globalists themselves briefly here. They've got to know that they can one-dimensionally get power and control and dump people down and poison things, but that blows back on them and their children and their families, but they selfishly still do it. Is it worth it to reach out? Because we've gotten a lot of defectors from the enemy, and point out to them that where they're going is total annihilation, and expand on that. I know they got really scared of you, the same reason they got scared of me. But with you, they went into a full panic mode. I'm actually envious because I want to be their number one enemy. So I'm envious right now. You're an example for me to live up to.
Because I want to be the number one enemy. I've been saying this for years. They already have me flagged. They already do not like me. I already do things that they despise. I've already seen it, right? And I've seen it at a very, very small level. So I can only imagine what the fuck these guys are going through. But I see their walls that they put up in front of me.
You were convincing their people.
I can tell.
You were converting their people. They knew you were right. There was some humanity
for a while
left
now.
in them.
Like since I'm 14, they've been
you touched,
sending me signs.
And that's why they hate us so much, because they really love us and they want
shut the
to
fuck
join
up.
humanity again.
Think like
Is
this,
there
do
some
this.
way to offer a bridge to these people
I'm not with it.
before we all destroy each other?
It's a really good question. It's a very good question. And it depends on what their goals are. And it depends whether they have any kind of spirit and soul and any kind of belief in the afterlife and any kind of belief in God. I think when you become truly atheistic, that is the end result of being a genuinely bad person. And they're only interested in power and control in this lifetime, and they don't actually care about the consequences of that into eternity. We talk about our ancestors, that requires a degree of spirituality. We talk about God, that requires a degree of spirituality. We talk about our duty to the people who came before us, and our duty to ourselves, and our duty to our souls, and our courage in our mind. All these things require a degree of spirituality. When you're completely atheistic and you have none of that, then all you're interested in is the temporary dopamine that comes from an ego hit. That's all it is. People don't understand that it can be as basic as the temporary dopamine that comes from an ego boost. That's why they want you to wear a mask, so they can get an ego boost. Because temporary dopamine is the only thing that's interesting to these people. Dopamine is the only drug they worship. It's the only thing they care about, and that's why they're addicts to outside substances. It's why they're sexual deviants. It's why they do things they're not allowed to do, because the fact that they're not allowed to do it makes it tempting because other people can't do it.
Yep.
It gives them an ego boost. Dopamine. So firstly, before we can even try to reason with anybody,
they're the chosen ones. God chose them. They're the children of...
we need to instill a sense of duty and honor in God inside of everybody, and that's why atheism in and of itself
crucified
is such a destructive
Jesus.
movement. And when people say
They
they're
got rid of
atheists,
every
the
other
thing that's what's
prophet.
crazy about that is that they're
Chosen
not.
by
They
God,
worship something else.
saved
They
by
worship a pride
Moses.
flag, or they worship climate change.
Chosen.
And they go and sacrifice their life for climate change and lay in a road like an idiot. So there's no such thing as an atheist anyway. But when you remove God,
Same ones who are chosen by God work with Satan to control the planet.
There's no
amazing.
baseline to reason with. You can't get traction. There's nothing on
That's
the
right.
road. They're just a goo.
They're just blobs. So let me ask you this. As we talk to the Oracle, Mr. Tate here right now, we always talk about where they want to take us, dehumanize, depopulation, projecting their own hatred of themselves onto us. What would Andrew Tate do? I know it's a free will universe, but if you were king of the world or people voted you in for a 2-year term, what would you do? What do our enemies need to know our goal is? Because we know we're opposing what they're doing, anti-human. We're just loyal to our species, what we do, competitiveness, men, women, our families, love, passion, and we're amazing. We love ourselves. I know you like yourself. I can tell. I like myself too. I'm not perfect, but man, I'm funny. I'm smart. I've got a lot of ideas. I feel good about me. So I see other people. I think, man,
fucking love myself too.
I see you doing great and being handsome and smart and rich. Makes me feel good, man. That's a fellow human. Man,
I need a haircut, but I love myself.
That's what we do aspire to. My son aspires to that. But these globalists, they see that and they get pissed. They go, look at that 6'4", super handsome guy that's smart and all this. We got to kill him. I mean, well, why not? Why don't you try to get your daughter to be with him? It's like they have no sense of even what a farmer breeding cows has got. They don't like breed the plants to make better plants. They claim they're eugenicists. They're the opposite. They're not trying to make us better. They're sabotaging everything because they're so small, they feel threatened by it. So where do we want to go versus define where they want to go? Because I don't think they even ever think about where they're leading us. Because they think they can nuke culture, nuke family.
I think Alex Jones has more veins than Andrew Tate. He's a little more old, so they kind of pop out more.
Very good.
He looks a little more crazy when he speaks.
We're pro-humanist. You said it. We're pro-humanist and we're pro-people
I'm with
acting
it.
like humans. Family, love, emotionality. Sometimes I get angry. I'm a man. I don't hide. I'm allowed to get angry. I'm a man. I have emotions. They are trying to turn us into robots, into QR codes. If you had to break it down to the most basic 2 directions we're heading in, we are trying to promote people to be people. We're trying to be, you nail it, with pro-humanists. We want people to have children and be in love with their children. We want people to feel joy. We want people to feel emotions. We want to have that beautiful spark of love between a man and a woman. We want to see a man stand up and do what's right for his family because of honor and courage. We want him to feel proud of himself. They want none of that. They want robots because they want robots which ultimately come.
I just want to show you guys something. What he's saying is 100% true. They want robots. And for the last constant year or so, all I've been seeing on social media is Islamophobia, hate against Christianity, Black Lives Matter, abortion, all of these different political pushes to try and split people apart and confuse people and mess people up. So I've decided to go directly to these sources and study them. And I advise every human being on the fucking planet, anyone that's in here right now that's listening to me, astaghfirullah, to go ahead, pick up the actual sources of God, right? The legit sources of God. And when you start reading these things, it applies to everything that is around you. It is almost the most insane thing ever. You would say, oh, these things are written 1,500 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Read. This is my Quran. Okay? If you don't know what the Quran is the final revelation given to the Prophet Muhammad by the angel Gabriel. This is the direct word of God. This book right here is not written in a story format. This book is written as God speaking to the reader. God speaks to the Jews. God speaks to the Christians. God speaks to, the atheists. God speaks to the animals. God speaks to the jinn. God speaks to everything in this book. Directly speaks to people. Directly in this book. I have gone through each page. I did not just read it, but I have studied everything that I could possibly study out of it. I have questioned everything that I found questionable. I have marked everything that I have found amazing. Every miracle. Everything that we knew we couldn't know 1,500 years ago for some random guy in the desert. This is what's going to change your life. I have now started the Bible. The Quran was around 400 pages. The Bible is almost 1,500 pages. Just Genesis alone, which was about 50 pages, took me a couple days to read. And Genesis is there's a lot of stuff in Genesis that is wild. It is fucking crazy. Like literally crazy. Go to the sources. Don't listen to third party. Andrew Tate says something, figure out where he got it from. Go to the source.
Of destroying the humanity, destroying everyone else's humanity and turning them into robots gives them enough dopamine to feel human. Because otherwise they don't feel human, they're already dead inside. We are pro-humanists trying to make everybody feel human, so we're heading in completely opposite directions. And it's unfortunate that, like vultures and parasites, the only way they can feel human at all is by destroying the humanity of others. They have to suck it, like Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat, suck other people's souls away so they can feel like they have one. That's why they're heading in the direction they are. And their end state is everybody else robotic so they can feel semi-alive. And we, because we already feel alive inside, want to encourage others to feel like us. We are pro-humanists, and they're trying to create QR codes and robots.
Incredible. All right. We need to fire the bat signal. Not just sign up for your email, not just spread the word, not just support Infowars.com. We're in a war. You're being bombarded. I'm being bombarded.
Yep.
It's like a grill. You're the steak right on the main fire. I'm kind of right next to it, roasting here.
You guys want to talk about Cold War?
I don't envy your position, though. I kind of do it.
That we're in right now is the Cold War.
Because you're right in the fulcrum. And
America and Russia.
Get that.
Cold War my ass. This is a Cold War.
Just in closing,
this is the people
need to pray for you. They need to support you.
Versus the devil.
You need to understand, I've been through the exact same thing. And
at the highest level.
Caught by it, like Julian Assange, and you've been partially caught. So that's all God.
Human brain versus deception.
I'm smarter, so they didn't get me. I'm sure if I, was as successful as you've been out there, instead of me getting a divorce and going out with 100 women, you've been out with 500 women or 1,000 women or whatever. Yeah, they would find somebody to lie about me. So I've been blessed that I haven't been put in that crucible. But just in closing, how do we support you? How do we get your word out? Take clips out of the show. It's all free to air, folks. Spread it everywhere. But I understand you're a manly man. You don't want to sit there and ask for support, but people need to aid this idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. At CobraTake.com, my email list is free. I keep everybody completely updated. There's also some of my programs on there, just so I'll explain quickly what they are. I have Hustlers University. It only costs $49. It's extremely cheap, and I teach people how to make money online with 18 different modern wealth creation methods. We have thousands of testimonials of people who spent $49 and made thousands and thousands of dollars, so I encourage people to try that. It's a completely unique platform we built ourselves. It's not on any matrix-controlled apparatus. It's a completely brand new online school designed to teach people how to make money.
I don't know
Anybody,
why.
man, woman, old, young, doesn't matter. We have kids in there. We have old women in there. Everybody's making money. That's on CobraTake.com as well. And the other way you can support me, TalkG.com, which you can also link to from Cobra Tate. We have T-shirts and that kind of thing, and it's amazing to spread the message. But ultimately, I want you to live true to yourself. I want you to be strong. It's fantastic if you're on my email list so I can keep you updated. But you support me by making this worthwhile, by knowing my message resonates. If I go through all of this and I talk to you and you listen to me and you don't do anything and you stay losing at life, then none of it was worth it. But if I go through all of this and you wake up and you start going to the gym, becoming a better person, standing up for what's right, refusing to allow yourself to become a slave, then it was worth it. So the best way you can support me is be the best possible version of yourself.
Tate Pledge is funded 100% by me. This is my personal money.
I'm going to the bathroom real quick since we're getting to the end of this video. And he's showing you donations.
Which will be donated to Tate Pledge, which will be used to feed children in war-torn countries.
From Syria, you're welcome, my dear dear Christian. May Allah bless you. But dear brothers and brothers, as you can see, brothers, subhanAllah, you heard about war in Syria. Now in Syria, we have more 1 million orphans, subhanAllah.
And I also promise to provide full accounting and receipts to prove that that money goes directly to charity, to feeding children in war-torn countries.
is not about somebody wanting to put on pantyhose and have their sexual organs changed. It's about shocking our children. A lot of these groups are pedophiles, let's face it. They want to talk about sex with your kids. And in the name of tolerance, they're going to put your kids on Ritalin and Prozac, they're going to inject them with deadly vaccines full of cancer viruses, and they're going to really screw them up.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Visit Infowars.com/show and share the link today.
You know what's crazy? Is most people are unaware of the full context behind what happens to these guys, bro, and like what's actually going on, like especially InfoWars, like Alex Jones, and what's been going on with him is fucking crazy. Like, he has over $1 billion in damages because he claimed that Sandy Hook was a setup.
And I don't want to be set up, though. They're in the news trying to...
He's saying Sandy Hook shooting was a setup, and there was paid actors in the news that, you know, were paid to make it seem like, oh my God, they're remorseful and they're this and they're that. And if you go watch some of this content, you can tell it's set up. Not saying that kids didn't die, and I'm not saying that things didn't happen. It's very probable, and it's very possible. Not saying they didn't murder kids. I mean, they flew fucking planes into the Twin Towers, and they blame Osama bin Laden. But Osama bin Laden is a CIA operative and worked for us for years, and is part of the bin Laden family. Is one of the largest and biggest corporations on the fucking planet Earth. And then they're gonna go ahead and say, oh, Osama bin Laden just, you know, forget being one of the richest, strongest, most superpowered company businessmen on the planet, CIA operative, best friends with the United States, best friends with the Bush family. Let's just throw airplanes into the building with a bunch of stupid Arabs with box cutters who took over a plane and did this, 4 planes hitting the most prominent buildings in the United States of America. Like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. It's just...
again right now. But if they put you in prison, it'll make you the next Nelson Mandela. If they put me in prison, it'll do the same thing. So I don't want that path. I'm not trying that path, but it's like if you throw me in that briar patch, that's what happens. And they just can't help what they're doing, and they can't stand the fact that we're not for sale. But if they were selling freedom, we'd join them. They're selling this to, if you look at the globalists and how they live and who they are the most disconnected, pathetic. They have these giant $1 trillion portfolios, not hundreds of billions, folks, trillions. And they should get back to loving themselves again and loving humanity. And I just wish there was some way to reach them. But I guess because they're psychopaths and sociopaths, they can't be reached. So I guess it really is, as George Orwell said, down to the proletariat. We've got to, how do we get in closing the general person that drives a truck or is a school teacher or a nurse to realize how powerful they are and what they can do extracurricularly instead of just thinking of themselves as this little person? How do we get little people to realize how big they are?
Yeah, they can't ban all of us, and they can't put all of us in jail, and they can't take everybody's bank. It is a battle of numbers. There has to be enough people to stand up and say, no, this is absolute garbage. And I agree with you. I wish we could reason with these people. Imagine how fantastic the world could be if all the world's global finance was actually aided towards helping people and truth. I have another website I haven't mentioned yet, TatePledge.com. I donate over $20 million a year to charity. Nobody mentions that. MSN will print negative about me all day long. They don't mention
let me pause because we're taping this. I want to say here for the crew, I've
MSN.
seen the millions of meals you're donating all over the world. Send us that ad. I want to put this in here right now. Yep. Tell us about that.
Tate, we got cookies. They're so fucking good.
Yeah, TatePledge.com, because it's very simple. I donate money, and like unlike most charities, which are full of garbage,
he even got his head popping out of the thumbnail.
Inefficiency. No, mine's very simple. Money, people on the ground buying food, and I feed thousands of children every single day in war-torn countries, in the hardest countries to reach on earth. And how many times does the MSM mention it? Never. How many times do the leftists mention it? Never. How many people do they feed? None. These people are genuinely evil. They're just interested in trying to attack me as opposed to talking about the good I do or doing any good.
To his
themselves.
followers, this man is the
That's why I
Messiah.
say we
Matt
can't reason
Shea
with
on
them
his
until
long
they have
fight to
souls.
expose Andrew
Because
Tate.
I have a soul. There could be
This
somebody
guy's been
I
trying to
dislike,
expose Andrew Tate, but
and
he's
I
been
could
trying to get
dislike all of
interviews
their
with him for
ideas,
3
but I can
years.
still sit and say, well, he
at him.
clearly feeds thousands of starving children a day, so he's not all bad. They can't even do that. That's how empty they are. They can't even sit there and admit a simple fact of life because they're so bitter and miserable inside of their hearts and souls. So I think the people at home, what you need to do is you need to tell the truth. Be a good
This guy
person,
talked to
firm
him
handshake, get up on time,
and
say
shit
what you
himself.
mean what you say. Remember,
Shit
God is
himself.
always watching, and He'll reward you in the end. He is the best of planners. Whether He puts you in jail or me in jail, in the end, it will work out well for us, and it's the same for everybody at home. He may give you a trial or a tribulation, or it may seem difficult to do the right thing now, but in the end, you'll be glad you did it. And if enough people do that, all of this tyranny will end.
Matt
Absolutely.
Shea.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the time today. This has been an incredible interview. Please join us again soon. And just, please be safe out there because I know you're tough and you're ready to go back to jail and you're ready to
I
go
want you
to
to see
prison.
Alex Jones for a
Man,
second. You deserve to
that'll
see his
make it 10
face.
times
Poor
bigger.
guy's been
We
covered up the whole
really
interview.
Don't want that. We want to be able to get you back to Texas and have dinner again.
I promise I'm doing my absolute best. I enter the situation without fear, but complete professionalism, and I'm doing my best to negate the Matrix attack, which has been constructed against me.
My last request is this. Can you get Tristan on the show?
Yeah, sure. We'll do it next week. I'll get Tristan. No problem.
All right, one more time, because folks, this is not a game. This is a war. We're not playing games. We're betting on you. We're betting on humanity. We're betting on ourselves. We're one happy family. How do people find everything Andrew Tate?
CobraTate.com. Sign up to the newsletter, and from there you'll see everything. I'm also on Twitter at CobraTate, or at X now, at CobraTate. You can see me on there as well.
All right, well, that's it for this incredibly historic interview. This is next level stuff, folks. I hope you share it. I hope you clip it up. It's up to you now to take this and make it even bigger. Thank you so much. God bless. And we'll be right back.
We interrupt this broadcast with a special report from the front lines of the info war.
This is definitely some top level shit. Like as far as like interviews go and talking and communication, you ain't gonna listen to fucking Drake talk about what he ate last week at a fancy restaurant. I ate 2 steaks and a salad and it cost me $182 and I tipped the waitress 2 bands. Like what you're listening to is some real ass shit. And like you can disagree with it, you could agree with it, whatever the case may be. It's expanding your mind. That's what you need. Expand your mind. Keep it pushing.
All efforts to silence him have failed. Emerging victorious against the New World Order, here's your host, Alex Jones. Find the InfoWars transmission at infowars.com/show. If you're receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
I want you to submit to me your vision for your dream life. Every time I ask somebody what their dream life is, they give a very lazy, sloppy answer. Well, I want to be rich. How rich? What does rich mean? How much money? Is it in liquid cash? Is it in stocks? Is it in crypto? In which country is it held? How do you diversify to protect yourself against matrix attacks? Who's your accountant? What's the name of the banks your money's held in? What are you going to buy? For you to become rich and successful is going to require pain and suffering. And you have to understand exactly what your dream life is to make the pain and suffering worthwhile.
If you want a direct link to this guy,
have you ever been to
what
the
he
gym
posts,
and
where
seen
you're
a
gonna
person
find
in
it.
fantastic physical
1.58 million
condition, they're
followers
strong,
on
they're
Rumble.
ripped, they're large. And you say to them, how did you get so big and strong? And they say, I don't know. Oops, it kind of just happened.
September 11th attack on the World Trade Center.
You've got an element of the FBI and these war game scenarios where they can remote control a 747 and they're going to crash it into the World Trade Center.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening.
Lying fuckers. All of them. I don't even know if I trust InfoWars. They're all liars. The world is deception. You guys, pray to God. To God. Connect with your Creator. Connect with God. Do not connect with humans. Do not connect with news sources. Do not connect with your girlfriend. Do not connect with any of this mumbo jumbo. Connect to God. Ask God for guidance. Ask God for help. Ask God to teach you. Ask God to filter out the negative and the bad and the false information. I promise God will help you. You will be like, what the F is happening? This is a miracle. How did this happen? How did I end up here? How did I meet this person? Why do I feel this way? How did I just magically, get this much money? How did I get fucking hit by this car? Where did that come from? How did this happen? You're going to be amazed at how interesting your life gets when you turn to God. You're going to be so amazed. Like, you're sitting there day by day and nothing's happening. You're sitting there, you're bored, you're tired. You're like, oh, I wish something would happen. I wish I had a girlfriend. I wish I had a good job. I would pray. Connect with your creator. And then after you do that, get the fuck up and do something. You're going to see how good you feel. You're going to see, even when you're getting your ass whooped, God's beating your ass. Just boom, 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 boom. It's giving you uppercuts. Boom, you're getting knocked down. You're going to feel great about it. You're going to feel wonderful. You're going to feel like you can take on the whole entire world, like you're protected by everything and anything. So turn to God. That is the number one thing I could ever associate and tell anyone to do, is pray to God, build a connection to your creator, and from there on out, he's going to help guide you. And that's it. Like, no matter what information, what life route you take, what choices you decide to go make, God's going to influence you to make the right ones and to do the right things. And he's going to put you in those positions of power when you understand what to do with that power. I always tell myself, I should be a multi-millionaire by now. And the reason I'm not is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, he doesn't want me to be yet. I'm not physically stable enough. I'm not mentally stable enough to the point where with all that money, I'm going to get power. And with all that power, I'm going to abuse it. I might do things that hurt myself, that hurt my family, that destroy my lifestyle, that hurt people around me. And when I do become very, very successful, very, very influential, very, very rich, I want to be able to utilize that power and that money properly. I don't want to use it the wrong way. I don't want to learn those lessons the hard way. I don't want to hurt hundreds of people or thousands of people or my family, or lose direct connections with people, or a direct connection with my creator, because I turn into a greedy, power-filled bastard where it's just like me, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that, I'm going to buy this for myself, I'm going to buy that for myself, I'm going to drive a Lambo. It's okay to do those things, but you have to understand the power structure and how it operates before you get into that. So
.com/show and share the link today.
Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. It was awesome streaming today, and I might come back later and actually stream later. I had a good time. We had a good reaction. It was Andrew Tate times Alex Jones. Resist the Slave Mind is what the video is called. It is on Rumble. I'll go ahead and throw the link down in the description after this goes ahead and posts. I appreciate anyone that came in today and watched. I appreciate anyone that left a like and boost me up. I haven't streamed in a couple weeks. I've been inconsistent lately, and that's just because, like I said, I turned to God and I've been getting my ass beat. So I have been trying to work extra hard to get myself back on track, get my health up, get my mind up, get a lot of things back into place. And alhamdulillah, thank God. I'm about to go in the stream and pray right now. It's time for the afternoon prayer, and I hope to see you guys soon. And new week, new juice. Bitcoin is moving it, and hopefully we can get some nice trades in this week. Hopefully we can come back and we can react to some more amazing videos, wake some people up, wake myself up. And appreciate you guys. God bless you. I love you. And until the next time, peace out.